Well, the road to 2019 is gradually closing up and the race getting tighter.
And political parties have produced candidates for various elective positions, and it's now game on.
As usual, the presidential election is the most talked about, and the battle for Aso Rock is promising to be epic this time around. Political gladiators and newbies will go head-to-head in what might be Nigeria's most competitive presidential poll.
Absolutely. Now, the names of the candidates of the ruling APC and opposition PDP, President Muhammadu Buhari and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, are on the lips of almost every Nigerian, but they're not the only ones gunning for Nigeria's top job. There's one-time Education Minister Obi Ezekwesili on that list. And former Cross River State Governor Donald Duke is also on the list, as well as newbies, well, if you want to describe them as such, Kingsley Moghalu, Feladuro Toye, and Omoyele Sowore.
We also have with us in the studio a presidential candidate of the Providence People's Congress. There are 91 political parties in this election, so many names are going to be coming up as the days go by. Well, Victor Hai joins us in the studio. We also have the presidential candidate of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, Dr. Davidson Ahimie, joining us from Abuja. Gentlemen, thank you very much for making it this morning. Let's begin with you, Victor Hai. Let me say congratulations on your election. Was it primary or indirect? I mean, was it direct or indirect primary?
I'm happy to announce that we had what is probably the most transparent primaries, because we did the option A4. And so there, I mean, there's no secret ballot. You line up right in front of your candidate, and there cannot be a more transparent method. So yes, we had a very democratic process, and a candidate has emerged.
Campaigns are in top gear ahead of the general election. Are you concerned about the mode it will take this time? You know, prior to this time, it's been attacking personalities, you know, talking about... in 2015, it got so bad that a governor had said that one of the candidates wasn't going to make it till 2019. It got really that bad. How do you see, you know, events shape up rather ahead this particular one?
Well, it may be early days yet, but as I say in the movies, we are seeing the signs of coming attractions. The mudslinging have started already, but the distinct thing is that those of us in Providence People's Congress, because of what we are and what we stand for, are not going to roll in the mud with them. Of course, what you get from old politicians and those who've been in the system is plenty of skeletons in the cupboard, and they will pull out anything, you know, to put themselves down. It started already, dirty politics, and that's the nature of it. And unfortunately, the public that should be benefiting from issues like what is it you have on offer for Nigerians, you know, going forward. You know, what programs do we have to offer, you know, may not get the benefit. All they'll be hearing are just the mudslinging back and forth. But I want to appreciate TVC for giving us this opportunity, because you see, the trap of the media is the attraction with the big, you know, candidates and all that. And so you find that they push all the attention to them, and then they forget to, you know, talk to, you know, the so-called newbies, because for me, there are no small candidates, okay? But there is a need for us to be able to listen and hear what these new kids on the block, if you like, have on offer, you know, for Nigerians. It is very important, because it shouldn't be, 2019 shouldn't be about parties anymore. 2019 shouldn't be about, oh, this politician has been there before, because, I mean, the nature of innovation is such that you underrate. You don't see it coming. You think there's nothing to offer, and then in the end, that's where the real beauty comes from.
Okay, let's take it to Dr. Davidson Ahimie, who is in Abuja. He's a presidential candidate himself of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. Thanks for joining us. Now, it looks like 2019, the presidential election, is going to be an election between the past and the future. An election between, you know, somebody who understands the workings of Nigeria, who should understand the economy, in the words of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and somebody who may not necessarily have much to offer. But talk to us about how tough you think it will be for Nigerians to decide on who the best man for the job is, or the best woman for that matter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ngozi. I think 2019 represents a very defining moment for all of us as Nigerians, especially with regards to leadership at the center. Now, Nigerians are conversant with happenings in the political space all of these years, and Nigerians are hungry for a change. And the kind of change they are hungry for is a change that will put food on the table, a change that will ensure that businesses are in business, a change that will ensure that Nigeria again gains its rightful place in the international community. Now, that is the kind of change that Nigerians desire. 2019 represents that moment when Nigerians need to make that choice to move from the old order to the new order. Now, my party, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, and indeed myself as presidential candidate, we represent the new paradigm. There's need for a paradigm shift as far as governance is concerned in this country, as far as politics is concerned. And we represent that paradigm, that new paradigm. I heard the last speaker, who is also a presidential candidate, saying something in that mood, that the so-called newcomers into politics should be given a chance by the press. And that's why I also want to appreciate, in line with him, I want to appreciate TVC for giving us this platform, to express ourselves. 2019 is the year for that transition.
Dr. Davidson.
It's a year for the new generation, yeah.
In the local parlance, they say in election year like this, there are contenders and there are pretenders. There are some who would say that to give these newbies a chance, that perhaps they need to come together and take advantage of, the unity of purpose, unity of structures, unity of financial prowess, which is also very important, when you are competing, especially to become president of Nigeria. What chances do you have as an individual in, a relatively unknown party? What is the possibility of all of these other 90 or 91 parties coming together, providing a formidable, opposition or front, rather, as the case may be?
Very true. When it comes to mustering funds for elections of this magnitude, a lot is required. And talking about political parties coming together, one should be very mindful or careful, so to speak, of these things about mergers in political arrangements, because political parties are supposed to be founded on ideologies, and they are supposed to, drive, certain ideologies that would characterize their formations and their existence. Now, with regards to mergers, we have seen in the past how parties with different ideologies came together, and that was what led to their downfall and what brings about friction in those parties. So definitely there will be measures as we go ahead towards 2019, but even in doing mergers, we are going to be very cognizant of our ideologies, how the political parties that gel. As far as we are concerned, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, we may not be going to mergers with political parties that don't reflect our philosophy of thought.
Okay, let's bring it to Victor Hai here in the studio. He's also a presidential candidate himself. Now, what are the issues really that should drive the 2019 election? Some individuals, stakeholders, Nigerians have been saying, if you go the way of restructuring, you might get our vote. If you, jettison zoning, you might get our vote. But to you, what exactly really should be the major issues that can define a way forward for Nigeria come 2019?
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, yes, there's restructuring and all of that, but you see, it is important to realize that without a nation, we have nothing. Okay, and we're at a stage right now where we almost do not have a nation. We're divided very strongly along ethnic and religious lines. It's very convenient for the older politicians, of course, and when it's convenient, they can blur these lines. There's a need for healing, and that's why I'm glad about what TVC just did.
Yes.
That's the starting point. There is a need. I mean, growing up in Jos, as a child, for me, it didn't matter who was Muslim and who was Christian. I could go into the homes of my neighbors, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. It didn't matter. Okay, that's the Nigeria that I'm looking forward to. That's the Nigeria that we had. That's the Nigeria where we were just one people. It didn't matter where we came from. We need to go back to that. All the economic theories in this world are not going to stand without a solid foundation. And so even if we're talking about restructuring, first there has to be a structure that you can restructure, okay? I agree about restructuring. I mean, our idea of restructuring, the reason for it in any case is because of the sense of injustice and inequity in the system. And so the reason is to restore justice and equity in the system, where a particular section of the country feels neglected, left out, or beaten into submission all the time. Obviously, people are going to feel that they don't belong.
So how are you going to bring that unity about?
No, of course, the first thing we have to do, like what you have started here, is to get us to talk. Because like your MD said the other time, it happened in Ireland, and I know this for certain, every war will always end with dialogue, whether it's with Boko Haram or whatever. So why don't we start with dialogue? So that's a starting point for us. And then from then on, of course, corruption has eaten so badly into the system. We're not going to be paying lip service to corruption. Judgment will start from home, which means that it doesn't matter who it is. There are no sacred cows, because that's the reason why the corruption fight today has crumbled. Even security cannot stand in the face of corruption, because the very security apparatus that we use in this country today is is riddled with corruption. And that's why you find that we cannot fight Boko Haram successfully. And so corruption is very important for us. Healing is very important for us. Security is very important for us. And then power, education, and health are areas of priority as well. Of course, we can't have time to talk about them in details right now, but these are very critical areas for us as a party in Providence People's Congress.
You know, I'm a bit skeptical when we talk about talking. Perhaps I should just bring in Dr. Davidson here. In 2014, we had a national conference.
Yes.
And we know how much we, invested, I don't want to say spend, as a nation as regards that. But even amidst all of that, you recall that the opposition party, as at that time, I think it was ACN, did not participate, so to speak, in that particular conference. When we talk about talking, restructuring, healing along ethnic and religious lines, what is your party's opinion about this, and how do you intend to make this, a situation where everyone, every stratum in the society will believe and participate in that conversation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Femi. Yeah, the issue of restructuring has taken the front burner in national politics in recent times. And this is largely as a result of the perceived injustices that have been experienced by different groups in the country. Inequities. And so certain groups feel shortchanged in the scheme of things in the country, especially with regards to economy, and then most recently, security. So this cry for restructuring has been loud, very loud and clear. There's no doubt whatsoever that certain aspects of national existence at the level of governance will require a restructuring. But it's important that when carrying out the conversation on restructuring, that we identify those areas and those things that need to be restructured. And we must put at the back of our minds that The existence of Nigeria as a nation, one indivisible nation, should not be compromised even while we carry out the restructuring exercise.
Okay.
So, for my party, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, we are looking at areas that will require restructuring.
Okay.
And so many areas exist for now.
I wonder what areas those are, but I'd want you to tackle the issue of economic justice or injustice, as it were. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said that the next president of Nigeria should understand the economy, the workings of the economy, and how to fix the economy, because that might just be the foundation for any other thing to actually stand. I wonder how you can, deliver on the economy in such a way that every side is satisfied and able to say, look, we're making progress as far as the economy is concerned. The National Reserve, or foreign reserve, and all of that, the GDP, the issue of inflation rate, and the ordinary man on the street being able to use his 1 naira to purchase something of value.
Right. Thank you, Ngozi. The economy is very critical for us because we know where we were before as a nation. The average Nigerian was highly respected anywhere in Europe, in America, all parts of the world where they traveled to, just because of the buoyant nature of our economy. But now the story is different. You see, we have learned a lot of lessons because we have observed that we have been a monocultural economy, depending largely on oil. And unfortunately, the downslide of oil in the international market, the price of oil in the international market, has led us to where we are today. So we will be doing a lot of expansion of our economic base by going into industrialization, having fixed infrastructure, especially the infrastructure of energy, light, electricity. We will be emphasizing on industrialization at all levels. So our foreign direct investment approach is going to be towards creating industries in local areas of Nigeria where we'll be able to employ our youths. You will agree with me that we have a teeming population of unemployed youths today in Nigeria. So our dream is to see that we broaden our economic base. We deviate from what we call a dependence on that monocultural product called oil. We see how we attend to agriculture, embark on massive mechanized agriculture, so that we take care of the issue of food security for our people. The average man should be able to afford 3 square meals a day. Food should not be a problem in a country that's so blessed with vast arable land like ours. So we are going to start with food security.
It's all right, Dr. Davidson. Let's bring in Victor Haye in on the conversation. The issues in Nigeria appears to be hydra-headed. And if you ask the average Nigerian, everyone can easily articulate what the challenges are. From security in the northeast to just IMF has cut our growth projection now to 1.9%.
From
3 thereabout.
From 2.9%.
The big question is, if you had a magic wand, what would it be? For Atiku, it is restructuring. That seems to be the debate that is, that is prioritizing now. For Buhari, it is fighting corruption. He believes that at the base of all of these issues is corruption. What exactly for you is that issue you intend to tackle as a presidential candidate to solve all these challenges?
Well, we've talked about the issue of feelings. So on the understanding that we already have a very stable, what do you call it now? I think that the most neglected part of our country today are our greatest resource, the human resource, particularly young people. Okay, if you look at some of the biggest economies in the world today, they're digital economies. These are economies that are no longer running like the way other economies are running, and it is important that we catch up with the times. It's so important for us. For me, the new ABC should be coding. Okay, you find that you take a simple app, for instance. One of my favorite examples, like Uber or Taxify. I'm sorry for mentioning names here, but with a single app like that, just one application within Nigeria, not even outside Nigeria, hundreds of thousands of jobs are being created. Now we need to be able to empower our young people. Okay, to be able to write in this new language. When the average policeman sees a young man with a laptop or a phone, the next thing is he calls him 419. And the reason is because they do not understand what the times are saying now. You know that everything has now been reduced to your handset, for instance. And so we need to be able to empower our young people in the area of education, and not just any kind of education. Entrepreneurship, you understand? We need to be able to empower them with an understanding of what the digital, if you like, digital technology and all of that is like. Of course, that's not what everybody else is going to be doing. But the truth is that everything is revolving around it. Whether it is agriculture today, whether it is energy today, whether it is food security, whether it is commerce. And of course, you know that many companies right now, you don't need bricks and mortars anymore. Everything is reduced to that. And so we need to be able to catch up with the world. We need to start running a smart economy, a digital economy. And also, we also need to begin to think green. That's very, very important. With a green economy as well, you'll be able to create millions of jobs. And so for me, I think this is an area that we need to concentrate on, because everything we're going to be doing is going to be revolved around.
I'm just wondering if we have the financial resources.
No, it's not about financial resources. I just told you about an app. One person does it and millions of jobs are created. It's not about resources. It's about innovation. Okay? These are innovations that will cause major disruptions that can catapult us within a very short time, to take our rightful place among the Committee of Nations.
Okay, let's take it to Dr. Davidson Ahmed. Yes, you talked about industrialization, infrastructure, and foreign direct investment approach. How would you, achieve all of this with the state of Nigeria's power sector right now? I mean, over and over again, we hear $16 billion has been spent on electricity.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, Serap has said Nigerians have spent trillions, only to get darkness. How are you going to fix it from the, point of electricity, power, so that all these other things that you have lined up to achieve can actually, be achievable?
Yeah, Ungozi, thank you very much for that question. It's rather unfortunate that that quantum of funds was expended, over $16 billion, and we're still in darkness. I think we live in a global community, and other nations evolved to become what they are today and how they are today as a result of, innovations, trying things out and seeing them accomplished. In our case, we have, laid too much emphasis on just one or two forms of power generation. We look at hydro, but all over the world today, you have new forms of power generation. There's the hydro option, there's the gas option, there's the wind option, there's the solar option, and a myriad of others. We cannot just concentrate on the traditional option of hydro, and we have not been able to deliver to our people constant electricity, which will be able to ensure that we drive industrialization. So why not we consider other options?
Okay.
In China, for example, China has one of the biggest solar power generating systems. Other countries in the world are adopting this. Why can't we explore
Okay.
the solar option.
All right.
And in the other
I guess
options,
we'll have
we are
to,
very rich.
we'll have to end the show on that
On that note.
note of a question.
That's right.
I just
Why
want to say
can we
something
not,
about-
unfortunately, not enough time.
Take it off the
That's-
exclusive list, and
Okay.
everyone can generate power. Simple.
All right.
It's not rocket science.
Okay.
One
Maybe
word. One
democratize
word.
power.
Yes.
Do you trust Nigerians to look your way in 2019?
Oh yes.
It's all right.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Watch my space. That's what I say to Nigerians.
All right, that's a question I would have liked to direct at Dr. Akime also, but
Yes.
time will not. Okay, are you the man for the job come 2019 then? I'm permitted to ask you that question. Dr. Akime?
Are you talking to me, Ngozi?
Yes, I am. Are you the man for the job?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it, Ngozi.
Even if you
Okay.
have me that question,
You
I
know,
would
what
have said
Nigeria
yes.
needs now is visionary leadership.
All right.
And I
Okay.
am there to offer that leadership.
Dr.
All
David
right.
Sinahime is presidential candidate, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, who joined us from our Abuja studio. Thank you very much for making it this morning.
Yes.
And Victor High is presidential candidate of the Providence People's Congress. Thank you for coming.